All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we have a legendary hip-hop artist live on the line, man. We actually have A+ of Souls of Mischief and the Hieroglyphics right here live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Just trying to stay positive down here in Canada, man. We're slowly opening up with this whole Corona thing. We're going in stages, man. But it's really good to hear that on your side of things, man, that you guys are actually back to normal, man. It must feel good.
Yeah, it's pretty opened up out here. I wouldn't say all the way normal just yet. We still have mask mandates and indoors a lot out here in different establishments, and but for all intents and purposes, it's pretty opened up. I'm happy about it. I'm glad the industry is starting to pick back up.
But I gotta ask you, Plus, man, because I know you're a very busy individual, man. So I'm gonna dive right into this interview. But I want to take you back to the very beginning, man, of your luxurious career within the music industry. And I have to ask, man, what made you actually decide to get into this music, get into this music thing initially?
Initially, I got into hip hop when I was very young. My family was very musical and played all different kinds of stuff in the house, and so I listened to it. I got into it, and around 1982, when the message came out, I heard that song, and I was 8 years old, and I was like, I want to be a rapper, and that was pretty much it. It sounded crazy back then in 1982, but yeah. That's how it started. I was just in love with hip hop at a very young age. I kind of just grew with it, and it's a very integral and permanent part of my life. It's a passion of mine.
And also as well, man, other than being a hip hop artist, you were actually a producer as well, man. And you actually made your production debut in the year 1991, man, where you actually co-produced the song "Burnt" by Del the Funky Homo Sapien, man. And I was wondering, how did yourself and Del get connected, man? And of course, what's the story behind that iconic recording session, man? Because after that, you went on to produce some legendary projects.
I have to say, I didn't produce Burnt. Casual did. We kind of all were just kind of there, and he was the man on the sticks making that beat, and we just picked our parts. So if it did say I co-produced it on there, I don't remember, and I haven't really thought that. I pretty much remember Kaz was doing that beat. But to answer your question, yeah, man, I grew up with Del, man. I met Del when I was in the first grade, and he was in the third grade, and I also met Tajay and Kaz both in the first grade as well. Me and Tajay were like the closest of friends, and me and Del were the same, but even though he was older, so yeah, I just knew them guys my whole life. Actually, my first rap group was just me and Tajay, and we were in a crew with Del. But yeah, Tajay was rapping around the same time, but we weren't really rapping together. We were playing together as kids. And then a few years after that, we just said, hey, let's be a rap group. And yeah, it started there. That's like elementary school, bro. We were into it early.
And I gotta say as well, man, the Souls of Mischief, man, is a big staple in my life as well, man, because I grew up loving your guys' music, man. Like those were my jams back in the day, man. So I just gotta say, man, in my personal opinion, you guys will always be solidified within hip hop, man. You can never go wrong with when Souls of Mischief comes on the radio.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, man, I'm extremely grateful for how that all worked out. That's actually where I made my production debut that I remember with the stuff on that album and the songs we recorded before on our demos. But that really changed our lives, man. At that point in our lives, it was a dream come true. It's like a 1 in a billion shot for some kids in high school to get a record deal, and it was just like lightning in a bottle. And yeah, man, I'm still to this day very, very humbled about the whole thing, and it's really been a blast this whole time.
And on September 28th, 1993, man, Souls of Mischief actually released the album 93 Till Infinity, man, on Jive Records. And I was wondering, what's the story behind that iconic record deal? And of course, how did you guys actually get connected with Jive? Because that was a spark of Souls of Mischief's career. Yeah,
man. Basically, how that happened was Dale put us on the song "Burnt" that you spoke of. That was the B-side to his second single, and he kind of like, you know, got on Ice Cube and was like, man, I want to get my boys on the B-side, and he let them. So we got on that song, and Dell came out with his album after that, and yeah, that song got some run and picked up some steam in New York, and you know, Dell had success with his album, so the labels were like checking and like, yo, who you got a crew? You got some other dudes? So we started sending our demos to these people that were asking, and our demos were really good, you know, and yeah, that's how the interest got sparked in us. So we sent demos to different companies, and long story short, it was a bidding war between Jive Records and Big Beat Atlantic Records. There were some other record companies in the mix, but they, at the end of the day, it was just those two. The money got so big, and we ended up going with Jive. You know, they were both really good deals. We had a really good lawyer, and Michael Ashburn, that was doing the negotiating and all the legal business. And yeah, we went with Jive for a number of reasons. One, that we were really fans of their roster for years, you know, since the early '80s, and they had a lot of the acts that we looked up to and were fans of. Not that Big Beat Atlantic didn't, but Jive was just a more seasoned label in hip hop at the time, and also they allowed us to keep our publishing. And to this day, we're the only artists ever on Jive Records that were allowed to keep all of their publishing to sign on the label, and that was huge. So that really was an icebreaker for us.
And I gotta say that's really rare, especially back in the '90s, for a label to actually let the artist keep 100% of their publishings. Man, that right there is definitely a top-notch record deal, in my personal opinion.
Absolutely, it was unheard of, and still to this day, you know, like that just doesn't really happen a whole lot. Yeah, and like I said, Jive, on all of Jive's history, we're the only artists that were able to make that concession. It's a special moment for us, and like I said, lightning in a bottle, man. Just right place, right time. You know what they say when preparedness meets opportunity, you know? Yeah, man.
And I also remember as well that in January of '98, 93 Till Infinity was actually named one of the top 100 rap albums of all time by the Source magazine, man. And I've always wanted to ask you, man, how does that feel to actually like have your guys' first album actually known as one of the top 100 hip hop albums of all time?
Man, it's an incredible feeling. Like I said, it's super humbling. You know, we got into hip hop. You know, we wanted to be respected by our peers in a positive way. Like, you know, we're from the West Coast. Weren't many groups doing our style of music out this way, and you know, it was really just more about just b-boying and hip hop, and you know, respect for the people that raised us in hip hop. And you know, to end up there with them is just, it's surreal. You know, when you're a kid, 16, 17, 18, especially when you're thinking back then, you know, it's pre-internet and pre-modern technology and all that. It was just unheard of. And you know, so when we finally got there, I mean, it's still surreal to this day, man. And the album, again, it changed our lives, man. When you're a kid that young, you can't have the foresight to look into the future and be like, people are going to be playing this song in 20 years or 30, you know, whatever. You could barely see a month ahead of you at that age, and then, you know, still to this day, man, it's really surreal. I can't say that enough, brother.
And also as well, man, in the year 1995, Souls of Mischief was actually incorporated into the Hieroglyphics, man. I was wondering if you can give our listeners a little bit more insight on pertaining to that, and of course, what actually made you guys decide to join forces with the rest of the Hiero?
Well, actually, it's like Hiero is the whole crew, and we're just a group in the crew. So we were always in Hiero. It's just that we're the group in Hiero. Everybody else is solo artists. It really started off how we really all came together. You know, me, Zell, and Tajay were doing demos in 1986, 87, working with Sir Jinx down in L.A., and I'm saying, you know, this is 7th grade, you know, 7th, 8th grade, and, 86, 87. And so we were already at work. When Dell was in a group with this brother DJ Heat, and it was them two. They were the older dudes, and me and Tajay were the younger dudes. And that's how we got hooked up with Jinx, because Jinx is Ice Cube. Jinx is Ice Cube's cousin, and Dell is Ice Cube. No, wait, Jinx. Dell is Ice Cube's cousin, and Jinx was his producer and DJ, and they knew each other as kids and stuff. So when Jinx started rocking with Dell, this was before Dell even had a deal. Dell would bring us down there, and we had songs and stuff. So we were already doing stuff back in the day. In the meantime, Casual was making songs with Teray and Opio, and so we ended up linking together with them. I want to say, it was around. It was late '80s. That's how Hyro really started. So Souls was always a part. We weren't Souls of Mischief yet. That wasn't our name yet. We had old school names that I wouldn't mention here. But yeah, so we were always down. We were always a part of Hieroglyphics. We were actually not called Hieroglyphics until we had other names. But it's not like we were a separate force that came in. We always been Hyro.
And I gotta say as well, it must have been really cool at such a young age being able to just like be able to work with Sir Jinx, man. Like not a lot of individuals can say like they were 7 years old just having Sir Jinx as a producer, man. Like you know what I mean? That's pretty much unheard of except for individuals like yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was 7th grade, but yeah, man, it was back then Jinx wasn't out yet either. Jinx had basically, Jinx and Ice Cube and KD were in a group called CIA, and they came out with a single right before NWA's first single, like a year before that or something like that. And Dell was affiliated with them because Ice Cube's his cousin, and they were Ice Cube and Dell both rapped. They rapped. They used to say raps to each other on the phone, and they were both in the hip hop. And so yeah, I mean, I just happened to be there. It's a really weird, it's a really trippy story. It's really kind of enchanted just how many oddball things had to happen for us to get where we ended up going and where we are now. It's really a trippy story. It bugs me out every time I think about it. That's why I really try to stay humble about everything, man, because yeah, man, it's really been a blessing.
And also as well, in 1999, you were actually featured on Money B's Talkin' Dirty album on the song Situation Critical. I was wondering, how did yourself and Money get connected? And of course, what was it like just being in the studio working with him, man? Because in my personal opinion, man, Talkin' Dirty is one of those albums, man, that like didn't get enough hype in my personal opinion, but it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Mun, that's my brother. That's big, bro. I went to high school with his cousin, Cletus Mack, and we were high school buddies with Rappin' Ron at Castlemont, and we used to rap at school. And mind you, back then, at this time, there weren't many rappers. It wasn't a cool thing to do. It wasn't like everybody was rapping. It was like one or two rappers in the whole school. People thought you were strange, and people didn't really take it serious. I met Money B through him. When I was still in high school, I met Money B's pops too, and then later on, a few years later, I ended up coming out and with a record, and Dell came out and all of that, and so by that time, Money B already knew me as a young kid, and he was like, he hit me because we we're friends, and he was like, man, get on the song with me. I was blown away my damn self. I was like, shit. Big bro want me to get on the song, and mind you, this is years after I'm already out. I'm A+ and whatever, but I still I treat everything with respect, the appropriate respect of the situation, and that's OG to me. So I was definitely honored that he asked me, and yeah, man, I was even nervous, like not to be around him, but to be on the song with him, man. But it's a blast, man. Certainly thankful. That's my brother. Rest in peace, Shock. That was my brother as well.
And I gotta say, most definitely rest in peace to the late great Shock G, man. That one surprised me, man. I couldn't even believe that, man.
Oh man, that hurt, man. That hurt, brother. It really did. He is a great person, man. One of the one of the good ones, one of the best, most talented, just good-spirited, good-hearted, wise. He was just an incredible person, man. I used to hang out with him a lot, man. We used to just me and him, man. We used to hang out a lot. He used to always just share a game with me, and he understood me a lot. Cause yeah, that's my brother, man. That one hurt for real.
And also on May 1st, 2007, you actually released one of my personal favorite solo records of yours, man, titled My Last Good Deed, man. And I was wondering, what made you decide to actually put that album out? And of course, what's the creative process behind it, man? Because in my personal opinion, that was my jam back in '07.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Souls was, stepping into the idea of doing solo projects. We had made the album Focus, and it was a series of songs with each of us having solo songs. It was like a Souls album together. We were just being creative, and we've been in a group so long that it was a creative challenge to do some stuff on your own. So Opio was working on this record, and Tajay was as well. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to start working on a record. But for me, like, I always had a group mentality, right? I've been in a group my whole hip-hop career for the most part, and so I was wondering how could I be a solo artist, and because I was like the dude in Souls that rallied everybody up together and produced all the early stuff and mixed all the demos and stuff, just kind of like, like there's no leader in Souls, it's all of us, but I was kind of like driving the ship, and so approaching the solo album it was challenging, and yeah, so I asked some of my friends, some real close friends of mine that not in Hyro, like, how do I approach this? And they were just like, I remember two dudes in particular, my man Black Ice and my man B Nasty, rest in peace. He's since gone. They just told me, they was like, man, just be the normal plea that we see every day, man. Be the dude that you just be you, and make your album being you. And I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of was struggling with it, and then B Nasty got murdered, right? While I was in the middle of making the album, and I was kind of like album stuck, and was trying to figure out how I was going to finish it. And then when he got killed, it just kind of like I just kind of finished it for him, like not for him, but in honor of him, because he was that person that was really helped me out in approaching that. So yeah, that's how I made that. It was really, it was experimental for me, and yeah, I had fun making it. I recorded it with Matt Kelly. I didn't want to produce the whole thing, so I produced a bunch of it, and I got some beats from other people, and it came really organically because I didn't really know what I was doing as far as making a solo album. I was just making music, which is what I love to do.
And I gotta say,
I'm glad you like it.
One of my favorite songs actually off that record, man, is actually Nothing Fake. And I think you did that song with Dell and Love, and I could be wrong, but I think those are the two individuals that actually collaborated on that song.
Yeah, actually, I just had a strange idea to I wanted to have my friends on it, but I didn't want to do it in a traditional way. So I had Pep rap over one beat and Dell rap over another beat, and I connected them. I made both the tracks, but I didn't rap on the song at all. And and I remember Dell was a little like, when the album actually came out, he was just like, oh shit, man, I thought you was gonna get on the song. He was a little, I don't want to say salty, but like, 'cause, Dell was like, oh man, I thought we was doing the song. It was playful, but yeah, man, I just wanted participation from my Hieroglyphics cat, and I just wanted to do it a little bit different.
And also, man, jumping ahead in the timeline a little bit, man, during the 2017 NBA playoffs, Gatorade actually released a commercial featuring Paul George where they actually implemented the instrumentals of 93 Till Infinity. And I was wondering, man, how does it feel to know that after all these years, individuals are still implementing your production sound on television and, of course, projects all over the world?
It's crazy, man. It really is crazy. It's surreal, and I'm honored, man. It's like when I was making the beat, I just made a beat like I normally make beats, and when I was done, I was like, oh, this is dope, and I actually gave it to Pep Love, like, I think he might have been right around, or like he was the next person I saw after I made the beat or something. And I didn't really, I didn't treat it any different than any other beat. I thought it was dope, and just to see what happened with it, and just to have a all-time classic all these years later. Young kids, the younger rappers using it. It's in commercials, like you said. It's been in some movies, all the way up to last year and the year before. And yeah, man, it's an honor, man. Because sometimes songs are just big for a moment, but and that's great too. I'm not hating, but it's just to be such of a fan and lover of hip hop and to have a song like that every day is surreal to me, man. I just give thanks, man, and keep pushing.
And also as well, man, August 4th of 2020, so just last summer, yourself and the Architect, man, actually released the collaboration album Chamber Games. I was wondering, what's the story behind that amazing record? And of course, is there any hard copies available to be purchased today?
Okay, yeah, man. Thank you, first of all. Actually, last year, 2020, the COVID year. All right, let me start with this. Christmas Eve, 2019. I called Architect because I needed to go to the studio and record a verse. I was like, man, could you engineer this verse for me? He's like, sure, come down. He's like, I was like, man, how you want me to take care of you? He's like, man, just rap on the track I got, lay a verse or something. And I was like, cool. So I laid the verse that I had for the other person, and then I wrote the verse for Architect and laid it, and it sounded really dope. And so we just, at that moment, was like, hey, we should just make an album and plan to make like 2 or 3 or 4 albums in 2020. And we were like, yeah, let's do it. So Chamber Games is actually the 3rd album that we put out last year. In February, we put out Free Dope. I think in April or May, maybe May, we put out whenever you said we put out Chamber Games, and then after that we put out Black Switzerland, and then on Christmas Eve, to honor us first even making any albums, we put out a Christmas hip hop album. I know that sounds corny, but you got to hear it. We kind of flipped it, called Cold Country. All of these albums, Free Dope, Chamber Games, Black Switzerland, and Cold Country, are all under the title A+ and the Architect. He made all the tracks. I did all the raps except for when I had guests on. And we kind of just did it like demo style. Like, we wasn't trying to do squeaky clean music or nothing like that. We just and also let me add this. In the middle of making, right when we were finishing, we finished the first album, Free Dope. We recorded it and finished it in like 12 days or something crazy like that. And so we immediately started working on Chamber Games. And right when we were finishing up Chamber Games and just released Free Dope, that's when COVID hit and shelter in place hit. And we were like, shit. So we was like, fuck it, man. Let's stay in the studio and make a few more records. Pardon my language. And yeah, so we made all 4 of those records. I'll repeat them again: Free Dope, Chamber Games, Black Switzerland, and Cold Country, like freezing cold. And yeah, so we just got it in, and that's what I did for COVID, man. There was so little contact with the world, and the isolation. I lived by myself. I couldn't see my kid, my mom, or nothing, man. So hip hop really just kept me going last year. And yeah, we put out 4 albums. That's the first time I ever did that.
And I was going to touch base on the Christmas record, because honestly, man, I feel like I neglected this, man, because I've been a fan of yours for a long time, man. I didn't even know that last year you dropped a Christmas record. So I have to ask, man, what actually made you guys decide to do a Christmas album, man? Because me personally, I'm a hip-hop head, so I'd much rather listen to hip-hop, like hip-hop Christmas records than Rudolph or Frosty or something like that, you know what I mean? So...
Yeah, man. It was Architect's idea, and the idea was, like, since we had made that first song on Christmas Eve, the prior year that started the whole run of making music, we had like about a month left in the year. We was like, man, he was like, man, let's do a Christmas record. Let's throw it together. Let's do it. See if we can get it out by Christmas Eve. And so we did that, and it was his idea, basically, to answer the question. and we sat together on how the albums were made and how the songs were made, and how to make it not corny. You know what I mean? Because Architect wouldn't be down for no corniness. Neither would I. But a Christmas album attempting to make one, there's a lot of room for that to happen. So the way we flipped it was kind of cool, and people liked it and enjoyed it. And as far as the hard copies, those are coming. Those are coming soon. Yeah, we're working on a release for all four. There's actually a release for the first one, Free Dope. That's on vinyl. You could get that at I can't remember the name. Chopped Herring Records. If you look that up on IG or something, we did a deal with them, so they're manufacturing and distributor.
And also as well, if in 53 days, that's going to be Hyro Day, and I was wondering this for myself and of course the listeners, man. With the pandemic slowly coming to a close out there in California, I was wondering, will there be a traditional festival this year? And if so, what can our listeners expect from Hyro Day at the end of the summer?
Well, Hyro Day is being planned. It's the kind of thing to where, everything just opened up and, the guidelines are all being tested and the reactors are just now coming in or will be soon. It hasn't been very long as to how people are going to be able to have indoor and outdoor events. So Hyro Day is being planned for either occasion. If something happens and it can't be outdoors, then we'll do something, viral. But, exactly how it's going to all be done, I couldn't tell you. I'm not on the Hyro committee this year, but I do know that that it's being planned, and there's some real big surprises in there if the situation permits us to have an outdoor event. Again, the capacity things, the capacity regulations are still all being tested, and I'm sure there may be some changes as the pandemic situation change. If there's a spike, that's going to change things. If it just completely flattens out, then So we're kind of just waiting for things to happen, but planning for all occasions.
And also as well, I have to ask, man, what is next for yourself, A+? Is there anything I happen to miss during this interview? Anything else you still want to touch on, talk about, or promote while we still have you here live on the Canadian radio station airwaves?
First of all, I love Canada. To everybody listening out there, I love y'all. I can't wait to make it back there. I really, and I'm not just saying it, I fucking love it out there. That said, I'm working on mixing the album right now with myself and Pep Love and a producer named King Guster from LA. And that album will be called Ooga Booga. That will be coming out this year, within the next few months, hopefully, if all goes well. Also, we're mixing and mastering an album, Stony Hawk 2. It's a album I make with Sunspot Jones from the Living Legends. I do all the production, and he does all the lyrics, vocals, and stuff. And we put out one, I want to say, in 2019. We put out Stony Hawk, and this will be Stony Hawk 2. We're mixing that up right now, and so that's in the docket for coming out shortly. And I have a few other things I'm working on that's not really, developed enough to speak on it. I don't want to pre-speak, but those two albums will be coming out this year. I try to stay pretty productive. Also, I do have an instrumental album coming out called Cigano Road Instrumentals. That's Cigano. That's spelled Cigano. Cigano Road Instrumentals. That will be coming out this year as well. I'm putting that out through Audio Vandals, and that's what I got going for this year. That's close enough to be spoken about. But music is my passion, and I'm always doing it, even if there wasn't an audience at all. It's just something I do. It's therapeutic for me, and I love it. I'll always be doing it. So you can count on me to stay active and always be putting music out.
And I gotta say as well, man, I'm looking forward to hearing those two new albums this year, man. It sounds like A+ is all gas, no brakes this year, man. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to those.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I got to keep it coming, and you know, I really enjoy doing it. You know, I know it's a young man's game, and it's always been that way. Um, but even though if you're an older student, you can still get down and do your thing. And I'm just thankful that I have people that'll listen to it and appreciate it. And I'm gonna keep doing it, man. I love doing it. You know.
And also, A+, this is the time in the interview, man, quickly, right before I wrap things up, that I just give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just like a chance to give, like, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything A+, if they're not already doing so. But we are an old-school hip-hop station, so I really hope they already hit that follow button.
Right on, right on. I hope as well. You could get me on at Hiero A Plus, spelled out. That's HIEROAPLUS on Twitter and on Instagram. I'll be just straight up A plus, A dash plus, spelled out PLUS on Facebook. And yeah, that's what it is. Check me out. Follow me. Hit me up. Say something positive. I hit you back, and I'd appreciate the love.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, A+, right before we part ways, man, I just gotta say, thank you for making so much amazing music throughout all the years, man. You know, that 93 till that 93 record, man, will always hold such a special place with me, man. You know what I mean? Helped me through a lot of difficult times. So thank you for just making amazing music that not only myself, but thousands of individuals worldwide, man, could actually relate to and help them get through difficult times as well. So on behalf of myself and the listeners, thank you.
Thank you so much. I super appreciate that. I could have never imagined that any music I made would kind of have this kind of impact, and I'm extremely thankful. And yeah, I can't say that enough. Thank you.
You are most certainly welcome, A+, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night out there on the West Coast, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to those 2 new records, man. But for now, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me. Shout out Outlaw.